Coming to you Thursday, January 2nd, 12 o'clock. Sage, I had a great New Year. I don't know about you. I know that you're an Oregon fan. Your Ducks had a tough one yesterday in the Rose Bowl, man. How do you feel?
Dude, I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? At least it was over quick. There was no drawn out heartbreak.
I
Like,
thought there was a chance for you guys at one point. When it got to, what was it,
it was fake hope.
34-15, I was thinking, oh, shit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like a turnover and a touchdown.
Yeah.
But
It's like you're getting into that situation where you're like, oh, if we could get a turnover and a touchdown before like 5 minutes in the third when you're down 30, it's like you knew it. I mean, they scored that touchdown at the end of the first half and they were like celebrating. They're like, oh, pointing the locker room, getting hyped, like, oh, let's carry some momentum. You knew it. They weren't going to stop Jeremiah Smith all game. They weren't going to be able to get
that dude's insane, by the way.
Dude, insane. 19 fucking true freshman.
So I saw a
Right.
tweet. I saw a tweet that said he would have been the number one wide receiver prospect this year. He'd be the
Yeah.
number one wide receiver prospect next year, but he's not eligible until fucking 3 drafts from now.
Yeah, isn't that just insane? I mean, maybe for his own good, he's still 19, probably going to develop more, but man, I mean, it just seemed like they didn't plan for this game. It felt like they had no like prep for this game. They didn't know what Ohio State did. It seemed like they got out coached, out defense, out offense. They couldn't run the ball. They kept trying to run the ball. They were down 20 and they still try to run the ball. And
Dan
then
Lanning's a bitch, by the way, dude. That was we
beat him
brought
up?
it up before here, but
Can you beat him up?
I could, yeah, I probably could. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't punt 4th and 5 on the 50-yard line when I'm down 24 with like 10 minutes left.
Chase, I texted you.
That was one of the worst coaching decisions I think I've ever seen.
Chase, it was 7-0, right? Ohio State just scored in 2 plays. Oregon's first possession with the ball. It's 4th and inches from their own 40, and they punt it. And I was like, this isn't good. Like, your defense just gave up a touchdown in 2 plays, and you can't get a first down, 4th and inches, you're not going for it. I mean, in hindsight, they probably weren't going to get it because they couldn't run the ball for the whole game to come. But my God, you just set the tone early that we're going to be conservative. These guys are just gunning for your neck, and you just get blown out, embarrassed. I said it. I mean, this is the worst loss, I think, in Oregon football history. This is just embarrassing. You're the 1 seed. You're undefeated. You never held the lead.
You were
never
the
even
underdog.
came close.
You were the underdog.
They were the underdog. I get it.
A lot
but
of
still.
people thought that Ohio State was going to come in and whoop your ass, and that's what they did.
Chase, to be fair, I did say that I thought they were going to lose. I didn't have faith. I said after we beat them,
the prediction says different, Sage. You predicted an Oregon
but
victory.
sometimes
You
you
can't
predict with
toggle
your heart.
both sides, man.
I know, but after that first game at Fleet Week, I said I just hope we don't play that team again because they match up with us so well, and they did, man. They kicked the shit out of us.
All right. Well, that's
Chase,
going
how's
to be
your
your Oregon
weekend?
conversation. I had to do a little bit of a soggy sorrows for you, but Sage, the reason that we hopped on to do the stream today,
But Chase, how was your weekend?
I mean, my weekend was good, man. In all honesty, I hit that age, Sage. I stayed in on New Year's Eve. I didn't go out. I mean, you know it. You were out, I think, with the loved ones. But, yeah, man, I just kind of stayed at my place in the city.
Well, you know me. I usually
Stayed
stay
in,
in
man.
for it.
I'm just not down with waiting in lines. I was hearing that there was like $40 covers
Yeah,
in the marina in North Beach. I'm just like, fuck that, dude. Like, no way. No way
No, I
I'm going
get
to
it.
do that. I was hyped up for the Rose Bowl and for the Notre Dame game. My buddy Remo, who I live with, as you know, big Notre Dame fan. Then that shit happened in New Orleans. That sucked. But I was honestly looking forward to this, to the first to watch college football. But your Oregon Ducks didn't really help that out. So I kind of rested it up. Felt good, though, man. Didn't wake up with a headache. Had an awesome New Year's, man.
no, it was honestly it was a good New Year's. We got good weather, which is always a gamble. Not too cold, not too windy. It was a fun night out, like you said. The lines were ridiculous. Cover $40 anywhere you wanted to go, $40, and that's not even to jump the line. $40, like to jump the line at Jackson. They're like, yeah, 75 a person. I was like, peace. Like I'll go get some beer and just go watch like at the Embarcadero or just go back to a house or something. Like it was getting ridiculous.
I mean,
But,
my dad said it best. He called it amateur night.
yeah, it's amateur night. I
You
remember he
just
said
feel
that to
like
us like
every
5 years
motherfucker
ago.
out there, like who's anybody is out there. Like you'll just get the random guys, like not even the people who like usually go out to those parts of the city to drink and have a good time. So I don't know. Not my scene, man. Not my scene. But all
Yeah.
right, let's get into the Pro Bowl, man. I mean, I don't know how many people are excited to talk about the Pro Bowl, but this is going to be the biggest Niners news heading into Week 18. So 4 49ers got selected for the Pro Bowl. I feel like everybody knew who it was going to be. So George Kittle as we all know, probably the MVP for the 49ers this year. He got selected. I think future Hall of Fame linebacker Fred Warner got selected. Our boy Nick Bosa. And someone that we've been critical of, Sage, but kind of at a dying position where I don't think there's many of them.
I was going to say, it's the fault.
He got the nod at Pro Bowl, so that's Kyle Juszczyk at fullback. The alternates, really shocking one that I saw this. Leonard Floyd, the guy that we've been bagging on all year, the guy where it's like, yeah, you missed on that signing, getting a guy opposite Nick Bosa. He's actually an alternate for the Pro Bowl. Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, and my boy, Deommodore Lenoir. Sage, what are your thoughts, man? I mean, I think we could go through the rest of the Pro Bowl rosters here, but when it comes to the Niners, you got 4 guys. 2024, you had 9 Pro Bowlers selected. 2023, you had 6 Pro Bowlers selected. So what are your thoughts when this came out?
I mean, I was honestly shocked. Like, I was shocked at the pure numbers when you see it. Like, the Niners had 4 Pro Bowlers. I'm like, okay, it just seems like they didn't deserve it. And then you look into it and you're like, honestly, they all deserved it except for Juszczyk. I'm just going to say that. Like, the NFL needs to progress.
The real question is, Sage, how many NFC fullbacks are there?
I don't know. There has to be like less than 5. I'd assume. I mean, he has a dynasty.
I'll look it up.
He has a dynasty going on Pro Bowls and all pros for the fullback position because he has no real competition. It's between him, Ricard, and then Ingold. But those guys are in the AFC, so he's just dominating the NFC fullback scene.
So, Sage, I'm looking at PFF right now. They only have 7 rated fullbacks. So there's legit only 7 fullbacks. And
I can't even name 7 fullbacks.
Hunter Lupke for the Cowboys, CJ Ham for the Vikings, Adam Prentice for the New Orleans Saints. Those are the only fullbacks in the NFC. So I feel like you got to give Juice a nod there.
Yeah, and I was giving you a hard time for this. Like, we could go into snubs or whatever. Like, I think everyone who had to make it, who deserved to make it, made it. Besides our boy Deommodore Lenoir. I know we'll get into it when we talk more snubs, but it felt right. Like, Fred deserves to be in there. Bosa deserves to be in there. And then, of course, our boy, who am I missing here? So then we got Juszczyk and we got Kittle, of course. All right, our boy Kittle, he'll be all pro first team. They all deserve to be there. So, I mean, no complaints there. I mean, you look at the escape of the NFC, it's kind of funny, right? It's like, who are the teams dominating? It's like the Vikings and the Lions, of course, the Eagles, of course, and you got the Niners and the Cowboys, just the brands, just the teams that get a lot of media coverage and get their players like promoted. The Cowboys had 5, was it? So
I think Cowboys had 5 and you said Vikings and who else? The Lions led the league with selections.
I think so. Lions led with 7. They had 5 on offense. They basically make up the entire offense, and then the Vikings make up basically the entire defense. It's just like kind of an even split. Packers didn't really have too many, which I mean I don't think there's any snubs there. And then who else? Eagles had a few, not too many. And then I guess the Bucks maybe the other playoff team that could have had a few, but they didn't.
So, dude, when I'm looking at it, I mean I had 3 snubs. I think everybody else on the 49ers did not deserve to get a spot. Even the third guy that I'm talking about right here, when you look at the guys who made it ahead of them, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But number 1, Deommodore Lenoir, man, I'm shocked by this one, Sage. So the quarterbacks who made it on the NFC team were Jalen Johnson of the Chicago Bears, Byron Murphy of the Vikings, J.C. Horn of the Panthers, and Devin Witherspoon of the Seahawks. So right here, I got some stats, but Deommodore Lenoir, dude, we've been saying it all year. I think this guy's a stud. He got a big contract. Everybody's going to shit on me. I know my boy Max is going to shit on me because I said that he's all pro. Didn't even make a Pro Bowl, so that's probably not going to happen. But when you look at the stats, I got it right here. This is courtesy of your boy, David Lombardi. 0 touchdowns given up by Deommodore Lenoir all year. On people that he guarded, 72.6 passer rating when targeting people that were covered by Deommodore Lenoir. Jalen Johnson gave up 2 touchdowns, 82.6 rating. Byron Murphy gave up 4 touchdowns, 78.0 rating. J.C. Horn, 5 touchdowns, 91.4 rating. Devin Witherspoon, 1 touchdown, 93.4 rating. So I know, okay, so when I give those stats, I know that's not Bible, right, on saying who's a better cornerback or not. But it is interesting when you see that has way better stats.
Well, giving up the touchdowns, I think that's pretty. That's pretty like of everything, like, right? It's like the tackles, all that, but giving up touchdowns, like how many times your man's targeted. I think that's what makes a good corner. So I think that is pretty relevant.
And like, don't you think that he's a stud in run
Yeah, of
defense as well?
course.
Like,
He's always
so
in that
I don't
backfield.
know.
He lives in the backfield.
I mean, we would always kind of argue about Deommodore Lenoir, like who's the stud that the Niners drafted under 25. So I feel like if anything, you've kind of been on the opposite side of Deommodore Lenoir, but you love him, right? You think that he's a stud
I
too.
love him. No.
Did you think he got snubbed? Better question.
Okay, Pro Bowl, like I said, like 100%. He got snubbed as a Pro Bowler. I mean, because you're cutting the league in half, right? Between All Pro and Pro Bowl, right? Because you're only looking at the NFC. And when you look at just strictly the NFC, I mean, all the best corners are in the AFC. You look at who he's going against in the NFC, right? He deserved it. He could arguably be the best guy here. I think he just falls victim, like most cornerbacks do, is if you're not a big name, you're not a loud mouth, you're not young and up and coming, right? Like you see Devin Witherspoon, like someone like Sauce Gardner. Seems like guys like that always get like that first round boost where like they're hyped, people like them, they got swag, whatever you want to say, and they do their thing. Byron Murphy, right? He's the celebration guy. People love him. He's the TikTok guy. He has a name. When you're just a lockdown corner like Deommodore Lenoir, you go about your business. You're on the Niners where there's 3-4 bigger names on the defense. You're not going to get the recognition you deserve. It's just how it goes. It's how it always goes. When you break down the stats, like you look at who's actually who's locking down the other team's number one, playing run defense. Like he doesn't force that many turnovers, but he's just not getting thrown to as much. Like people are going at Adam. They're going at Renardo Green. He's been doing his job all year. It's kind of crazy because Charvarius Ward was a Pro Bowler last year. I don't think there's a single Niner fan who thinks that Charvarius Ward last year is having a better season than Deommodore Lenoir this year with what's being put on his shoulders.
Are you sure about that, Sage? I mean, we had a top 5 defense last year. Mooney Ward was the number 1 guy. I feel like, Sage, we're on top of it. I mean, we're in the roots more than Niners fans are. I don't think that many Niner fans are clamoring that Deommodore Lenoir is a stud. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't have my ear to the streets, but I feel like he's not getting that much hype, right?
Okay, so I'll say it from two front, right? Because there's a lot that goes into it. Where the Niners last year, it seems like they were getting after the quarterback more. You could have say more coverage sacks, right? But the D-line was better, so they were helping the O-line out. When there's no pressure, they're able to attack the secondary. But all year we're saying that the secondary has been the bright spot of the 49ers defense. Then I think that kind of falls on your best player's shoulders, and it should be a bright, like kind of like an added, like a plus for Deommodore Lenoir, because that secondary has been great despite the D-line, the linebacking core not being as good.
Yeah. What I will say is that we've been hyping up Deommodore Lenoir all year. We're not arguing. We both think that he's a stud. Clearly the Niners do. They just inked him to a big contract. So we all agree. I think that was by far the biggest snub for the 49ers. The other 2 guys, Sage, that I brought up, first off, Dominic Pooney. So I'm looking at it right now. He did not make it even as an alternate for guard for the NFC. The guys who made it was Landon Dickerson of the Eagles, Chris Lindstrom of the Falcons, and Tyler Smith of the Cowboys. I feel like these are legacy picks, Sage. I feel like our boy Pooney.
I was going to say, right?
Yeah, because if you look at it, like Chris Lindstrom, Landon Dickerson, Tyler Smith, coming into the year, they were rated as the top 3 guards in the NFC.
Yeah, it makes
based
sense.
on PFF rankings. Those were kind of the
course.
names that have been around for a while. And I don't think that any of them really had standout seasons. And it seemed like I think Pooney's rated higher than at least a couple of them. So I feel like that's the only other argument. Trent Williams is the third one that I brought up. And I just don't think he played enough games.
Yeah, Trent, I mean, he's made it, the past 3 years? He just didn't, I don't think he qualified, right? You got to play a certain amount of games. I mean, it's usually between him, Lane, and Panay. I think Tristan Wirfs made it this year. I mean, all valid.
Yeah, so it's Lane Johnson, Panay Sewell, Tristan Wirfs.
So, I mean, all valid when it comes to like top tier tackles. Those are the guys you kind of think of. If you had to guess, those are the guys who are going to make it. Trenton would have made it. Like you said, like these O-line picks, they're kind of legacy picks. Are they always the best? No, but you got to go with the names, right? Because for these positions where you can't really put stats out there, right? Like cornerback. Like, I mean, there is some stats for offensive tackle, but when you go to like the top of the top, it's a thin margin. So it's like you kind of just like lean to the legacy guys, like a Lane Johnson, like a Trent Williams. Right. That's who kind of edges it out for these like top picks, like all Pro Bowl. I mean, look at like Kelsey made the Pro Bowl. That's a legacy pick, right? Like they just gave it to him because it's probably there's not that many good tight ends in the AFC. They're just like, all right, Travis Kelsey probably deserves to be a Pro Bowler, probably deserves to have that on his resume. So I just think with like offensive tackles and secondary players, if you're not like an Xavier McKinney, who's just like creating all these turnovers, intercepting the ball, it's kind of hard to make a case for yourself. They lean to the big names, like someone like a Sauce Gardner, right? Who some people say, like, if you look at the advanced stats, he's maybe not that good, but he's a top 5 or top 10 pick. He has like the name Sauce, and he has like media hype around him. New York, those are the guys that typically make it. So I didn't expect a guy like Deommodore Lenoir to make it. I didn't expect a guy like Dominic Pooney to make it. Did they deserve it? That's like a whole other topic, though. The Pro Bowl, it's usually just like that legacy thing.
So I will say, Sage, there were some big names that got left out of the Pro Bowl roster. So Patrick Mahomes did not make it.
He didn't deserve to make it.
He didn't deserve to make it because you have Joe Burrow, who I don't think I've ever seen this where a team is 8-9 and their quarterback is getting hyped to be MVP. But I think he's had 40 touchdowns, 6 picks. And then Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen been going head-to-head for the MVP all year. So I get it that the Chiefs are 15-1. You have Mahomes, who's been leading them to the number 1 seed. But it is kind of hard, like, to take out anybody and put in Patrick Mahomes with the stats that he's been putting up.
Well, it's funny, right? Because I think that's also like a name thing, right? I think if you were, like, for example, Jaden Daniels. Maybe not. Jaden Daniels might be a bad one because he's a rookie. Say you put Sam Darnold in the AFC and you put Joe Burrow in the NFC. They would have the numbers are, it's kind of the same case, right? Sam Darnold's having a statistically great year. They wouldn't have put a guy like Sam Darnold over Pat Mahomes. Mahomes would have made it, in my opinion. I think there's no way you could have an AFC Pro Bowl with Sam Darnold over Mahomes. People just look at it and they don't feel right voting it because they know what Mahomes is. But when it's a guy like Burrow, right? Because Burrow's really the guy. I think Lamar and Josh were locks. And if you had to look at the voting, it would have been between Burrow and it would have been between Mahomes. Because Josh and Lamar, they're the two guys who are going to get MVP votes. Like, how could you be a potential MVP and not make the Pro Bowl? Burrow, he deserves it, but his team's so bad, he's not going to get that much MVP hype. It had to be between him and Mahomes. And at that point, it's like, what are you really valuing there, right? For a Pro Bowl. Are you valuing wins, which you can't really value, even though it's a quarterback, or are you valuing stats? So, I mean, is it weird? Like, Mahomes doesn't make a Pro Bowl for the first time in his life since being a full-time starter? Yeah, but I can't say
that's the game. That's the game.
Right?
You got to be the top 3 in your fucking position. And he wasn't.
He wasn't. Clearly wasn't. Hasn't been all year.
Hasn't really been all year. So some other names, Sage, your boy, Baker Mayfield. Shed some tears for your boy Baker. He did not make the Pro Bowl this year.
I mean, it was one of those things, right, where you look at who made it in the NFC. It's not jam-packed with star talent. We got Goff, Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold. I think they just went pure stats there. I really think they just went pure stats, like who's having the best season with like the team around them, I guess. I don't think it says like who's a better quarterback. But
Baker's not better than any of those 3 quarterbacks.
I don't know.
In my opinion.
I'm just not impressed with Jared Goff. I'll be a Goff hater. I'll be a Goff hater for as long as he needs to have haters.
It's clearly not because of what you see on the field.
What do you mean?
I feel like the past couple of years, he's clearly been a really good quarterback.
I'll piggyback off Nick Wright's take here. I just think he's a civilian. Like, he's a civilian playing quarterback. He doesn't elevate the guys around him. Like, you look what Baker just put up 48 against that great Panthers defense with broken parts. Like, Goff, he needs everything. Like, he needs a perfect O-line. He needs the 2 best receivers. Like, okay, I'm not going to say the 2.
Do we know that he needs that, or is that just what he has? So it's kind of like a Purdy situation where he could succeed he could be the best, he could have the best stats. He could look the best on the field. His team could be the number 1 seed, but no one's going to give him the real credit because of what's around him. That's what happens with Brock.
Yeah, 100%. But like, Chase, we saw it 3 years ago.
I don't get how you could be negative about what you see.
Okay, do you remember the year with Jamal Williams and who was their other one? Oh, it was DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, where their running game was meh. They didn't have Jamison Williams. They still had Amon-Ra. They had a great O-line at that point still. And their defense was actually a little bit better than it is now. Obviously, I'm saying like the second half now. And they went 8-9. Their like highlight moment of the season was Jamal Williams crying in interviews and then them spoiling the Packers season at the very end there. Like, I just think like Goff had a healthy year. He had Amon-Ra. He had a decent run game. I mean, Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift were good. He didn't have Jameson Williams. He didn't have Laporta. He didn't have a top running offensive line. And what were they? Right? They still had Ben Johnson, I believe. Still had Dan Campbell. That was the Hard Knocks year, I think. Or the year after.
I mean, I'm looking at that team right now. I'm looking at his stats. I mean, he had 4,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks, 100 passer rating. And they went 8-9, but that was coming off a team that I think only had a couple wins the year before. Like, Are we just expecting them to make the playoffs? I just think that it's weird when we get to the point where judging Jared Goff, we don't base it off of what we've been seeing with this team. We base it off, like you brought up, a couple years ago what we saw. It's like, why? I've been seeing this shit for 2 years. He's been a great quarterback. I don't know. A lot of people agree with you, so I'm not saying that you're wrong, but
it really is
Jared Goff hype. I love Jared Goff, man.
I know. No, I like him too. He's a cool guy. Like whatever you want to say about him, the chance, the city loves him. They rallied behind him. He was done dirty by the Rams. The Rams in part helped build this Lions dynasty.
Dirty.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, do you know how I know Jared Goff's not a top 3 quarterback or top 5 quarterback in the NFL, even though his stats say that he is? Like, if you wanted to make the argument that Justin Herbert's better than Jared Goff, you can't make just using stats. You just can't. But do you know how you know Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than Jared Goff? The games are on fucking TV. You have 2 eyes. You watch them play. That's kind of like the only thing you can go off. You could throw all the stats in the world. It's kind of like Tua. How do I know that Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than Tua? The games are on TV. I see it with my own 2 eyes. Can I make a stats-driven argument that Justin Herbert's better than Tua? I can't. I just can't. It's the system that they're in and kind of what's around them. So it's hard. Like it's an uphill battle, but it's one of those things you got to just say, like, just trust me. Like, I don't think Jared Goff is that good, but you might win a Super Bowl. That team's good enough to win a Super Bowl. Like, that offense is one of the,
he definitely has a shot. He definitely has a shot, Sage. So then we have Brian Thomas Jr. I think that this was the biggest one that I
100% agree with you. I was going to bring this one up.
So Zay Flowers made it over him.
Zay Flowers, right?
Hey, he's money, right? I mean, he looks like Tyreek sometimes the way that he moves, but Brian Thomas this year was amazing. I think he had better stats than him as well. I didn't get that one.
Dude, I didn't get that one at all. So I saw like a list of the biggest snubs, and I saw he was number 1, funny enough, was Brian Thomas Jr. In a fantasy perspective, right? He was the 4th wide receiver, right? And wide receiver, I said, like, with cornerbacks and O-linemen, there's not really stats you can point to. Receiver is 100% stats driven. Just show me who had the best stats. That usually tells me who's the best receiver. Like, you're never going to see randomly, like, Juwan Jennings led the league in receiving yards. It just doesn't happen, right? The best guys are usually the best in the position. They're usually leading, like, the charge and everything. We could pull it up right now.
You know who is clamoring for Brian Thomas too?
No, I don't.
Our boy AB. AB was all over it.
Oh my God! Did you see Cracker?
He said that Zay Flowers didn't deserve it. That it should have been Brian Thomas. So shout out AB.
I mean, dude, like, that's the thing about, like, the whole Lamar thing. I think the Ravens had 7 Pro Bowlers. Like, Zay Flowers made it. Your boy Derrick Henry made it. Like, I'm not saying that they didn't deserve it, but it's
Derrick Henry has to make the Pro Bowl. Come on, Sage.
No, I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but Josh had 1 guy on his team make the Pro Bowl. Like, are we really arguing who the MVP is still? I know I'm going off on a tangent here. I just saw that, and I was just like, come on. Okay, we can break it down. Receptions, Brian Thomas Jr., 80. Zay Flowers, 73. Yards, Brian Thomas Jr., almost 1,200, 1180. Zay Flowers, 1,050. Touchdowns, Brian Thomas Jr. had 10. Zay Flowers had 4. Average per catch, Zay Flowers, 14 yards. Brian Thomas Jr., 14.7. He dominated him everywhere with a way worse quarterback. I mean, I'm sure he had way more targets, like the catch rate percentage, whatever you want to say, like those advanced stats. But that was clearly like a team pick. Like, oh, we got to get some more Ravens in there. They're dominating. They're the hottest team in the AFC right now. Whatever you want to say. Brian Thomas Jr. deserved it. They just didn't want to give it to a rookie wide receiver. When the
How
AFC
the fuck does Pro Bowl voting work? Do we know?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Are we established on that? Okay,
well, so it's like, Chase, that's like why it kind of doesn't. It's fan voting too, and the Ravens just have more fans.
I just looked it up, so I got an official answer on board here.
Okay.
So there's 3 factors that go into each year's selection: fan vote, player vote, coaches vote. Okay.
There you go.
I guess fans are permitted to vote until Christmas, and then the players and coaches are pulled at some point in the same stretch. So I don't know how it's divided. I don't know if it's weighted the same, like the fans' votes are weighted as much as the players and coaches. But I mean, you got to say that the fan vote had an impact on Zay Flowers making it over Brian Thomas, because
I guarantee you,
I don't know what Jacksonville Jaguars fans look like. I don't know how big that fan base is. I know that's not as big as the Baltimore Ravens. So I know there were more Ravens fans voting for Zay Flowers than Jags fans for Brian Thomas.
I guarantee you there were more fantasy owners voting for Brian Thomas than there were Jags fans. I would almost be willing to bet that if there was a stat out there that, because he was like I looked at the stats for like league winners in fantasy. He was like number 3 on that list. Like, most teams who had Brian Thomas Jr. won their league or at least made it to their championship.
I feel like if you're a very committed Jaguars fan, like I challenge your judgment as a human being. Like, why would you put yourself through that? Like, What happiness are
they're
you
the
going to get
favorite.
from being a Jacksonville Jaguars fan? Like, they are only going to break your hearts. They're never going to win. They're never going to be a successful franchise. Like, it's over. It's over. You had the biggest quarterback prospect of the past 10 years, and he looks like a scrub.
I think they're the favorite to get Ben Johnson. Funny enough, is that
Really? So
it's
he
like
believes in Trevor. That must be it.
I think he just doesn't want to. So it's basically everyone's like slating him. He's going to go to a team with a quarterback, and he's going to go to a team that's bad, obviously. And it's between the Bears and the Jags, right? And I just saw like he doesn't want to go to the Bears because he doesn't want to stay in the NFC North. Which I mean, I don't blame him. Why would you want to put yourself in a division with the Lions, Jordan Love, and then the Vikings? Like, and then you're just committing to
I mean,
the
Sage,
worst
be
team.
honest. You know why? You know why he doesn't want to go to the Bears?
No, it's the ownership too. It's not just
Come on.
Caleb.
He doesn't believe in Caleb.
Bro. You know,
People are
there's
starting
a reason.
to come around to the fact that Caleb's a bust.
Chase, he's not a bust. There's a lot out there.
He's a fucking bust, dude. He's a bust. I'm
You hate
sorry.
him. I don't get it.
No,
I don't think
I'm
he's
just sorry.
he's not
I just
lived
don't
up.
know. I don't know how the fuck you guys can't say to all the Caleb supporters. I don't know how you can say that he hasn't been a major disappointment.
He's definitely been a disappointment, but he hasn't had much to work around. Like for the hype, like he had the Wembanyama hype, damn near. Not quite as much, but he had that level of hype.
I don't think anybody's had the Wembanyama hype.
Yeah, but like they kind of, because they came out around the same time, and it was like, oh my god, for 2 years, it's like, who's gonna get Caleb? Who's gonna get Caleb? You have Colin Cowherd making it a segment every day on the show. You have Nick Wright rating him last year as a top 15 quarterback in the NFL when he was still at USC. So
top 10.
Yeah, so I get it. Like I get it. When it comes to that, he hasn't lived up to it.
No, he hasn't. And I think the other big ones that people brought up, Jordan Mailata for the Eagles, James Cook, my boy for the Buffalo Bills. Sage, you're kind of all around that Buffalo team.
Yeah.
I think it was Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, and who else was selected on the AFC at a running back?
It was, I can pull it up for you right now. I got the NFC app.
Yeah, so it was definitely Derrick Henry. I saw Joe Mixon. And a lot of people were bringing up James Cook, but
JT,
I don't know, Sage.
Jonathan Taylor.
And Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he makes it over any of those three guys for me.
No, I agree. Mixon was basically, if you watch that Texans team, like he was their offense. When he went, they went, right? Like when he couldn't run the ball, they couldn't do anything. You saw it against the Chiefs, saw it against the Ravens. Like it comes down to what Joe Mixon could do. Derrick Henry, of course, he was the best running back in the AFC. Probably he has an outside chance maybe of getting, I think it's 16 touchdowns. He needs 2 this week, would be the first Ravens running back to do that. But he's not going to make the All-Pro because of Saquon. So second best running back in the league, damn near. And then Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he missed 4 weeks, but he came on strong to that second half. So
I don't think anybody knows that better than me, man. He fucked me in the fantasy championship.
You and Brian Grealish. Yeah.
So Jonathan Taylor, persona non grata for me, but I think he should be in the Pro Bowl.
Just what about Jerry Jeudy making it?
He did make it. So I saw that name. I saw his name out there. I mean, what were the stats? Did he have over 1,000 yards? I mean, he's kind of the guy who's caught up at the end of the year, but I didn't think that he'd do enough to make it to a Pro Bowl.
The thing I love about the Pro Bowl, so he had a better year. So 84 receptions, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pretty good year. I mean, the AFC just must be so weak at receiver.
I mean, okay, so like let's look at the standings here, Sage. Hold on. So I'm gonna look at the standings, go through each team. Tell me if there's a wide receiver that's not on the Pro Bowl that's better than them, that deserves it. Okay. So we got the Bills. Does anybody deserve it there? No.
Next.
Dolphins. Tyreek Hill hasn't had the best year, but does he get? I feel like you got to have Tyreek Hill in a Pro Bowl.
I mean, I can't imagine what the stats must be. I mean, he's not going to go over. He might go over 1,000 yards. 6 touchdowns, 79 receptions, 900 yards.
Tyreek Hill should have been in over Jerry Jeudy. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, like you have some of these other legacy guys. Like, I guess he just had that bad of a year, man. Like Tua going down really screwed this guy up. He's in his own head too, bro, with Tyreek Hill. You know what? I don't think he should make it. I think the fan base doesn't like him. He doesn't have that many people like backing him up. I mean, it seems like every other day he's flirting with the Chiefs. He's flirting with like a different.
What was his tweet on on New Year's? He was like, "Happy New Year's to everybody, especially the Chiefs."
Yeah, something like that. He just like he thinks he's like a troll, but it's not funny when you're a professional. It's like imagine like you work at just say like AT&T, like selling phones. It's like every day you're like Verizon has the best coverage. Like Verizon's this. Like, you can't be doing that, bro. Like,
especially if AT&T's paying you $30 million a year. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me? Like, imagine being the owner every single week. You're like, yep, 850,000 to Tyreek Hill every couple weeks, every 2 weeks, 850,000. and then he's doing this on Twitter. I'd want to fight the guy. I'd be like, fuck you, bro.
There's
I'm
a level
giving
of
you like a
professionalism.
fortune over here, and you're just like fucking around with the Chiefs.
There's a level of professionalism that needs to be had. He doesn't have it ever since like he left Kansas City. It seems like they had him under wraps there, but now it's just not there.
If anything, that proves that he should have been a Pro Bowl wide receiver, because that's elite wide receiver diva behavior right there.
The thing though is like, okay, like I'm looking at like 2023, for example, all three of the quarterbacks who made it in the AFC declined. So it's like Mahomes made it, Josh Allen made it, Joe Burrow made it. The three quarterbacks that ended up representing the AFC, Chase: Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Huntley, Derek Carr. So
well, do we want to just do the conversation now about how big the Pro Bowl is a joke?
Yeah.
I mean, the Pro Bowl has Sage. I'm trying to think about the worst things about American sports, and the Pro Bowl's up there. The Pro Bowl has always been a joke ever since I've been a kid. I mean, they did it the week after the Super Bowl. The good thing about it was that people wanted to go. Why? Because it was in Hawaii. Sage, last year was in Las Vegas, which makes no sense. This year, it's at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. They couldn't even book Disney World. They couldn't even get it on a fucking grass patch at Disney World in Orlando. Disney was like, yeah, we don't want anything to do with the Pro Bowl either. The entire week leading up, they had 8 challenges for these players to compete against.
Dodgeball?
Among them, yeah, dodgeball. I got a tug of war, a relay race, and a team quiz off. They're basically getting quiz about their team, and then they're playing flag football on Sunday. Back in the day, nobody ever wanted to tackle anybody, but now it's like, what the fuck are we even doing with the Pro Bowl? For me.
Was it Ed Hockley? He had the famous, like, he threw the like a pass interference. He's like, yes, there are penalties in the Pro Bowl. Like, it's always been a joke, Chase. Like, is it the NBA All-Star game bad? I don't think so.
It's worse.
You think so?
It's worse.
Okay, I'll say this.
It's the worst thing in sports.
The dodgeball, like the throwing competitions, the O-lineman, like strongman contest. I do somewhat enjoy it. They're good YouTube clips. You could go back, watch it. You could revisit some things, right? Like the race, all that. There's nothing redeemable about the NBA All-Star game except that one year when
the 3-point competition.
Oh, okay. I did forget about that.
If you're gonna count the fucking strongman competition, you got to count the 3-point competition. The dunk contest, I don't know.
It's a joke
happens
now.
To the gun.
It's a joke now.
It's like the dunk contest, like, can give you STDs or something. The way that players avoid it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Like, people just don't want to do anything with the dunk contest. Like LeBron just like has always been away from.
I knew fucking LeBron. I knew you'd go that way, dude. You have to.
The dude's been like the best player the past 15 years,
and what
hasn't fucking ever been in the dunk contest. I think LeBron James single-handedly killed the NBA dunk contest. I really do.
No, because you had like one of the best ones of all time, like 6 years ago.
Well, But who really gave a fuck about that one?
The Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine one, a lot of people cared about. That is a terrible take. Like, what are you saying?
Who's a lot of people? Who's a lot of people?
Chase, stop.
Fucking Coach TikTok and the guy who does the NBA 2K ratings. I didn't give a shit about it. I'm a huge sports fan. I don't care. I didn't give a fuck about the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon dunk contest. The last one I cared about was Blake Griffin. That's it.
No, the LaVine one was better. Could you even tell me who Blake Griffin went against in the finals? I remember who was.
No, because he jumped over a fucking car and won it. That was sick.
That wasn't that impressive.
JaVale McGee?
It was like JaVale McGee, Serge Ibaka, and I remember because Serge Ibaka like blew out the cupcake, or maybe that was McGee. But anyways, back to the NFL Pro Bowl. Like you said, they didn't want to tackle. Like, what are you gonna do? You got to zag a bit. You can't just like keep throwing these guys out there to just keep throwing for like.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, you're a dickhead. Like, you're a dickhead if you want to tackle in the Pro Bowl. A little bit.
It? Yeah.
Well, Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor.
I was gonna say, who's the guy he laid out?
Where the guy was punting, went towards the sideline, and Sean Taylor just laid him out. That's an all-time clip for anybody who's going to be watching this. Sean Taylor in the Pro Bowl just lays out the punter.
The interview was just like, no one's tackling anyone, and then I just get laid out by Sean Taylor just like humming down the sideline. But there's nothing.
The punter was like, "You fucking dick! Like, why'd you have to do me like that? Just making everybody clown on the punter at the Pro Bowl."
Had like a tea time at the Lileia golf course the next day.
He's like, "No, I can't. My fucking back hurts." Sean Taylor came in like a freight train at me in the fourth quarter, man. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke. No one watches it though. That's the thing, right? They're just trying to get clips out of it at this point. It's like the shouty shows we call on ESPN. They're not there for people to sit through start to finish. They're there to get viral clips like, oh, Watch Tyreek Hill get Justin Jefferson out in dodgeball, capital OUT. That's all it's come to.
That's all it's come to.
Like, I think if you're one of those guys like banging the table, like Adam Silver, what he just did with the All-Star game, like all these guys, like, oh, like it's a joke. Like, why do you care? Who cares? Like, it's not. It has nothing to do with the season. Like, who actually cares about this?
You're
not
who cares about what the NBA All-Star game is?
No, I'm saying like the Pro Bowl and the All-Star game, like the All-Star game and the Pro Bowl. Like, who really cares?
Okay,
I get it's cool.
Yeah, this is what I'll say.
I don't know.
This is what I'll say. I get why NFL players don't want to go hard in the Pro Bowl. I get it, right? If football is a complete physical sport, if you try 100% out there, you could get severely injured. In the NBA, man, just play like a pickup game. Just play like a regular pickup game that you would see at 24. Sage, how many times have we gone to 24 out in San Mateo, played pickup, and we're going hard, but we're making sure that we're not going to get injured? You could do that in the NBA, and they refuse to do that. It's a joke, the kind of defense that they play. Everybody just pulls up from 3 now, or gives everybody the lane to dunk. Like, nobody wants to see that. Just give me a competitive game with the best basketball players in the world, and that's all it has to be, man. That's all it has to be. And the fact that Adam Silver can't even get the guys to go out there and do it is a fucking joke. They're trying to throw more money out to them. It's like, okay, fuck off. They're already making like $60 million a year. You can't have them try for like 20 minutes in a pickup game where the entire country's watching. Fuck off. So I think it is a joke with what's going on in the NBA All-Star game. I get that you're saying, why do you care, bud? Why not? Why not? Why can't it be fun, man, when you get the best players in the world all in the same court? Why can't it be a reasonable pickup game? That's all I ask.
Okay, so I do understand where you're coming from, because it's the only time you're ever going to see them like split down the middle competing. Like this year, they have. Do you see what it is? It's a 4-man like tournament style with a G League team, or no, it's with like a rookie team, and they're thinking like the rookies are going to go hard. Like, you're gonna have Brandon Podjemski guarding like whoever, Devin Booker, thinking like that's going to motivate Devin Booker. Like, I can't get embarrassed by that guy. But I think it's like the opposite. It's going to make guys want to play less. Like, I think that's what happened with the dunk contest. Is like, you see last year, Jaylen Brown goes in it, tries to like rally. What happens? He loses to Mac McClung, a G Leaguer. What happens? Jaylen Brown just gets clowned. Why
is it allowed that G Leaguers are in the fucking dunk contest? Why is that even allowed?
Do it. I don't know, bro. Like, that's the thing. Is that's what makes it dumb too? Because it's like, why can't we have like professional dunkers then? Like, why can't we have just like these people who do it for a living?
Why can't we have Mac McClung go out there? Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think there's no real answer to it. There's no answer unless you cap the threes.
I have an answer. I have an answer. So I actually do have a way to fix the All-Star game, because I know that this
first to 100.
Nope. USA versus international, man. I'm telling you, that would work.
Maybe.
Dude.
Like, you're making it like Olympic style, you're saying?
What?
You're making it like Olympic style, right? Like that. Because, like, why do they care about the Olympics, right? There's the gold medal. There's
Team USA versus Team World. Right now, if you get Luka, Jokic, Giannis, if you put up that team against guys like, I think that's generally starting to become something in the NBA where the American players are really realizing, like, okay, like, international players are starting to dominate the league. The NBA was always just basically USA, and then maybe had a couple funky Europeans coming in and making some moves like Dirk. But now it's dominated by international players. And I think you would genuinely get the juices flowing from the USA guys to go in there. I feel like with the European players, they would be able to give a shit because they're trying to beat the US. I feel like that's a simple fix, and it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, anything that'll get them motivated, right? Anything that'll get them actually caring. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I mean, you saw like in the Olympics, they cared. They were playing for something. I just think the stakes aren't big enough. Whether it's home, like, do you think home court would fix it? Like home court in the finals? Do you think that
you can't do home court? That'd be fucked up.
Yeah, like, it'd be fucked up to a team like the Celtics. Say they win like 60, 65 games, and then like,
well, it'd be funny because like, say like you're the East, right? You're like the team on the East, and you got guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Like, they're going to be going all out because they know they're probably going to be in the finals. They want to get home court advantage. Then you're going to get a guy who's on the Hornets, who's in like 12th place, like LaMelo Ball. He's not going to give a fuck. You think LaMelo Ball is going to play hard D?
Yeah, true.
Because it's home court advantage in the finals. Like, he knows he's not going to fucking be there. He's going to try to do some cool shit, maybe throw down a dunk. He's going to pull up from 40 feet the entire game. So it would almost be like even more fucked up if you did it that way, because you'd have half the team giving a shit, and then half the team with nothing to
At least
really
you'd
pay
have
for.
people caring. I feel like it does trickle down. And then the coach would be like, all right, you can do that. You're not playing. So I think that's like a way to do it. I mean, obviously, like you're going to have guys, you're going to have to give everyone minutes, but if you're not trying, like why play them? The younger guys don't even really play that much anyways. But that's the problem with it, right? It's like a guy like Jokic, who's clearly the best player in the league, is like maybe the 10th best player in like the All-Star format. Because
Isn't
like
it so funny how shitty he is in an All-Star game? He can't dunk. He can't really shoot that well from three. Jokic might be like a bottom 5 All-Star game player of all time.
And it's like you look at like back in the day, right? Like who's dominating the All-Star game? Like Tim Duncan, right? Would he be a good All-Star player now? No. But back in the day when they cared, he could play defense, team player, like adapted well with other superstars. Like it worked. Like Jokic, 100%. Like you think about it, you're putting 5 superstars around him. He should be the best guy. But now that it's just dunks, like threes, it just doesn't work. Like it's kind of funny how fast it flipped. I hate to say it, but I think it's like the Curry era, right? Because people cared like 10 years ago. People were caring. Maybe it's Kobe leaving, whatever it is, but now everyone just wants to shoot threes and just dunk. Like it's just not fun.
So I don't know if anybody's going to make this comparison. Sage, I want this clipped. But the NBA All-Star game reminds me of the movie Serpico. And I'll tell you why. So Serpico, Pacino is basically the one good cop in New York City, right? He's like the only guy who gives a shit. Everybody else is mobbed up, just getting payouts and stuff. I feel, and like whenever he's just doing regular like good police work on these mafia guys, everybody at the police station hates him. The boss hates him. The mayor hates him. It's just like, dude, fuck this guy Serpico. If you're the one guy in the NBA All-Star game who gives a shit, everybody's going to look at you like the cops in Serpico looked at Al Pacino. It's just like, why do you care? Nobody else cares. You're basically just the one asshole at the party right now. Like, can you imagine like a guy like Tim Duncan, like you said, like fundamentals, just like gets it in the post, just like go straight up with it, just gets the rebound, gets it out to the point guard. I feel like that's what it would be. Like, just like, it's almost like if you give a shit in the NBA All-Star game, everyone's going to look at you and get pissed at you. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing this right now?
No, they got it. Yeah.
For doing the right thing.
That's what we're saying, right? Like imagine like Jokic trying to just like, control the clock, play slow basketball and just like, how like they do like the walk the dog thing to try and bleed the clock. Can you imagine like Jokic trying to do that in an NBA All-Star game? They try and kill him. They come down for the stands for him.
Yeah. So I don't know what the NBA is going to do with their All-Star game. Sage, so like we brought up on Sunday with the Pro Bowl, it's going to be a flag football game. Do you know who the coaches are going to be? Like, how is that determined?
I don't know. I actually have no clue.
Are we going to have like Neon and all these streamers be the coaches? Or is it like, I remember they did Michael Irvin and Dion.
They did Jerry Rice one year.
Yeah, Jerry Rice. That's right. So Pro Bowl coaches, let's see.
Yeah, I was going to say, we probably look it up, see if they're doing anything special. Oh, they did the Mannings last year, right?
That's right. Hold on. So let me see.
I think they're doing the Mannings again this year.
I feel like that's a good thing for the NFL to have whenever it's like, oh, like, what do we do? Like, who do we throw in there? It's like, oh, let's just throw Peyton and Eli in there. Everybody likes them. Like, they're just a good default to always have for the NFL.
We need a commercial sponsor. Just throw Peyton and Eli in there.
It's like, oh, shit, yeah. Let's just do like a Peyton and Eli fighting his brothers kind of thing going on. So, hold on. I don't think I got – I'm trying to look up who the coach is going to be, Sage. I don't see anything that's –
It's Peyton and Eli.
Coaches. Is it Peyton and Eli?
Yeah, it's Peyton and Eli again. I just looked it up.
What I will say about the Pro Bowl, if you're a sick fuck out there watching this who has a gambling addiction, it is pretty fun to bet on the Pro Bowl because I think that's the closest thing that you get to a complete 50-50 bet. Like, you don't really, there's no way of knowing
bet on the coin
who's going to win in a flag football game with the AFC and the NFC because you don't know who's going to give a shit, and it's like a flag football game. Like, how the fuck can you, like, calibrate that one to see what the spread should be?
Save your money and just bet on the coin toss for the Super Bowl at that point. Like, seriously. And at least it'll be over within 10 seconds.
But that's like jokingly like the one thing that the Pro Bowl has for NFL fans because like no NFL fans are going to get hyped for the Pro Bowl. But if you're a sick fuck who likes to gamble and wants them to gamble on that Sunday, you could gamble on the Pro Bowl.
Nothing else on. Gamble on the Tyreek Hill 40-yard dash.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so before we cap off here, Sage, I know we try to keep it under 45 minutes. Do you want to okay, because we don't know who's going to be performing in these competitions, but let me go back to the 8 competitions. Let's just try to see who would be like our number one pick for these competitions.
Okay.
Is that cool? Okay, so dodgeball.
Who would I want?
I have 2 answers.
Maybe.
And it's actually funny that these are the 2 answers.
Okay, I think we might have something similar here, but I think Zay Flowers has to be up there because he has hands, he's small, and he's quick. So I feel like he would be like a prime dodgeball. Who would I want? I'll go one AFC, one NFC. So I'll go Zay
Okay.
Flowers, and I'll go definitely not any of the linemen.
Sage, how are you
I'll go,
missing
I'll go
these?
Gibbs. I'll go Zay Flowers and Gibbs.
Jameer Gibbs?
Yeah.
Have you ever played dodgeball before? Motherfucker, you need to throw the ball. My two picks are clear as day.
Oh, Jaden
Lamar
Daniels.
Jackson. How the fuck can you not pick Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson?
I honestly went straight to.
No one's
Yeah.
gonna catch him. Like no, like if you're one on one with Lamar Jackson in dodgeball, he's gonna dodge every single ball, and he's got a laser coming right back at you. And then Josh Allen, I feels like the same thing. Like he just has
Jaden.
a hose. He has a hose, and like he could run around a little bit. I bet you that he's got great hands too. So I feel like that was easy bets for me. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson minus 800 as the number one pick in a realistic dodgeball draft.
Chase
a dodgeball draft.
Chase, spin zone. Do you know who's used to catching Lamar Jackson lasers? Zay Flowers.
That was a wild first pick by you. That was a wild 1-1.
I dare him.
That was a wild 1-1 to be like Zay Flowers.
Okay, clearly you never watch it, but the quarterbacks that were usually are there are like Mahomes, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold. So I'm used to them sucking. So went straight to the wide receivers who have been dominating. I forgot that Lamar Jackson will be there this year.
Let's be honest, Lamar probably got knocked out of the playoffs like a couple weeks before that.
Yeah, it's like, fuck this.
Stoned off his ass. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to be playing fucking dodgeball. But all right, satisfying catches. So one wide receiver, tight end, and defensive back from each conference will compete in the challenge obstacle course. Catching from a jugs machine at 3 different distances.
Yeah, just give me Justin Jefferson. Give me Justin Jefferson.
JJJ, right?
Yeah, just give me Justin Jefferson for that. Look at the NFC, right? Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, CD, Terry McLaurin. Like, just give me Justin Jefferson.
Boom, boom, boom. But we got to go. So it's got to be a tight end and a defensive back.
Kittle for sure. Kittle has great hands.
Would you not just say Kelsey, number one pick?
He's not going to be there. He's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, he might not be. So I still got Bills. But is Travis Kelsey number one, and if he's actually at the fucking Pro Bowl?
No, I think Kittle has better hands, to be honest with you.
I don't know about that one.
I think Kittle makes better catches. I just think he's not as good of a route runner. And after the catch, when
have you ever seen Kelsey just openly drop a ball?
Dude, he has a lot of drops this year. Funny enough,
but he's washed up a little bit now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're getting washed Kelsey at the Pro Bowl.
That is true. I'll give you that. Okay, defensive back. Who would you take?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know who has good hands from that. I'll go Byron Murphy because he's gonna try.
Okay. Okay, so Helmet Harmony, that's like a game show. Who gives a fuck about that? Punt Perfect. Who do you think would be a badass punter who's not a punter?
Oh, so this is guys who aren't a punter. Give me Saquon, maybe. No, maybe someone who's taller. I mean, like maybe Josh. Actually,
I feel like Josh would have a leg. Like who would have a leg? I feel like Lamar Jackson would be able to.
Yeah, Lamar. I'm trying to think of someone who has like long legs, but is like spry.
You gotta think quarterbacks are fucking massive too. They're like 6'5". A lot of them, like they're beasts. Like I bet you they got legs on them.
Yeah, I'd probably go I'd probably go Josh or Lamar. I think that those are two good ones.
Okay, and then you got a relay race. You got 40-yard dash. Okay, who's your relay race team? So there's 4 players. So it's a 4x4. 4x400.
All right, for the NFC, Gibbs has to be the first guy that they take if he wants.
Yeah, so I need to get the rosters back up. Give me 1 second.
So Gibbs, because I think they have to have an O lineman on there is the thing, if I remember correctly.
They have to have an O lineman?
Maybe not. Okay, the AFC should dominate this though, but I think you got to go Gibbs. God, I'm trying to craft this perfectly.
Okay, so you do NFC, I'll do AFC.
Yeah, you have the advantage. Okay, Gibbs, Saquon, maybe Jaden. Nah, Gibbs, Saquon, CD, and Terry, I guess.
So you're Gibbs, Saquon, CD, and who?
Terry.
And Terry? Okay.
I mean, I don't know who's faster, Terry or St. Brown.
Yeah. I think AFC would fuck you guys up. So I'm going Lamar. I think Lamar's got to be in there. I'm going Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
Jerry Jeudy.
1-1.
And like the running backs, you have Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor. I don't think any of them actually get in there.
No, funny enough, because Gibbs and Saquon are probably the top 2 of the top 3. They might be able to carry it themselves.
So, okay. So my official, I got to go Jamar. I'll go Jerry Jeudy, Zay Flowers, and Lamar.
Okay, fair. I just think your receivers kind of hurt you there.
How?
Jerry Jeudy and Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers is just our number 1 pick across the board.
Yeah,
I can't believe you said Zay Flowers number 1 in dodgeball. What the fuck?
Just wait. Just wait till it comes out, bro. He wins the dodgeball.
Can you imagine, like, we're just watching dodgeball. We're, like, hungover. We just throw it on the TV on Saturday, the Pro Bowl, and Zay Flowers just dominating the dodgeball. I'd be like,
he's going to retire.
Dude, I'd have to kneel down to you. I'd be like, you know what, Sage? Maybe you're just like, maybe you know what the fuck you're talking about here, actually.
I hope it happens, yeah.
So that's going to be what? Is that the week before the Super Bowl?
They changed it, right? It used to be the week after. Now it's the week before, right?
Yeah, I think it is. But dude, why don't they do it in Hawaii? What is the point of having it in Orlando?
It's the week before.
It's not like the NFL doesn't have money. Like they could make it happen in Hawaii.
Yeah, I don't know. They just wanted
half the draw,
different.
man. You get all the guys in like the Hawaiian shirts and everything. They would actually be having a good time, and they would actually give a shit. I don't know. Now it's in Orlando. Like, what the fuck can you do in Orlando if you're an NFL guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Bring your family. So that's all I can think of. If you're
like for the guys who don't have families, like
Disney World.
In Orlando, you don't have strip clubs. You don't have any nightclubs. Like Tampa's got the strip clubs. That's down southwest. Then you got Miami that's got all the nightclubs. That's southeast. Orlando, you're just like 2 hours away. You got nothing to do. So I don't know what draw. I just don't know why they're doing it in Orlando. That's just kind of a shock to me.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know what their strategy is with this, going from Vegas to Orlando when you don't have a team in Orlando.
Maybe they're just like, we know we're going to lose money on the Pro Bowl anyway. We're just not going to put any money towards this whatsoever.
I'm trying to see here. Yeah, I can't find anything. Orlando, just random. NFL's gone cheap, bro. Stay woke. NFL's going cheap on their players.
All right, Sager. So I think that should be it, man. I mean, I think we got as much combo out of the Pro.
We squeezed all the juice possible out of this Pro Bowl.
I mean, First Take can only do max 8 minutes on this. Max 8 minutes they can do on the Pro Bowl.
Patrick Mahomes was snubbed.
How are you going to have the best quarterback of all time not be in the Pro Bowl? Like that's definitely the number one thing they would bring up.
Yeah, you're going to get like the big perk eviscerates Pro Bowl voters. Like, I'm just saying.
He'd probably say that was a bunch of white voters for the Pro Bowl, and that's why somebody got
Joe Burrow got in.
Yeah,
that's why Embiid. That's why Jokic won his MVP.
But all right, Sager, that's gonna be it for today for the stream. But tomorrow we're gonna do our best bets. Sage, I think there's only like 3 games that actually matter in Week 18.
There's only come Sunday like. Because we have the 2 AFC North games. That's on Saturday, or what is it? How does it work? But Saturday,
so the 2 games
relevant games Sunday.
So basically, how the NFL did it, each division is going to be playing at the same time. So Saturday is going to be the AFC North games.
Yeah,
and then Sunday, for example, like the NFC West is going to be playing at 1:00. The AFC South is going to be playing at 10:00. They just have it set up like that. And then obviously the Sunday Night Football games, Detroit versus Minnesota. But the only games that really matter, I mean, you got the AFC 7th seed. It's going to be going up. It's the Broncos, the Bengals, and the Dolphins going up for that one. You got the 1 seed in the NFC. And then the AFC North, the Steelers versus the Ravens. That's basically the only battles you got going on the entire week.
Yeah, nothing too special there.
No, nothing too special. But we'll get into that. We'll get into some of those games. We're going to give our best bets. Sage, what did you go, Sage? 1-3 last week in your best bets?
1-3 again.
1-3 again. So you got to find a way to get up, man. I think I went 3-1. You're probably just gonna have to rely on the playoffs. But are we gonna do it? Yeah. Are we gonna do any Niners talk, or do we want to just keep it to the rest of the NFL for tomorrow's stream?
I think we'll do rest of the NFL and then come and do a Niners show once Week 18's over, because there's nothing really to talk about with this game. We're getting Josh Dobbs. We're getting all the backups. Like, what are we gonna preview here?
Grant Cohn went at Shanahan a little bit. Do you see that?
Of course. It's rinse and repeat.
But what did he say? He's like, would you categorize your performance this year as a failure and like what are you going to do to get better? Or like what exactly did he say? Oh, he said, are you frustrated with your performance this year?
What Shanny say? I didn't see that.
So Shanahan basically said, like, I don't know how to answer that question. Like, I work harder than anybody at my job, which makes sense. I mean, we all know that Kyle Shanahan, he's been aging like a U.S. president, like we brought up. The guy doesn't sleep. The guy lives, breathes 49ers football and drives himself up a wall to do his best that he can for the 49ers. It obviously hasn't worked out. I don't think he's had his best year, but to be frustrated with a performance where you give your all, that's what he said. He said basically, I work my hardest, so I'm not going to be frustrated with it. But he did say that he's responsible for everything that happens with the 49ers, so he has to be better. So I think he answered it in the best possible way.
No, I agree with that. I mean, what could he say? Like, what do you say to that? It's like
obviously all the coneheads are coming out saying he'll never take responsibility. But it's like, how do you answer that question?
No, there's a lot falling apart around him. Like it's not just on Kyle. It's frustrating the guys who are just trying to put it on Kyle. Like imagine giving just for example, like Brian Dable, this Niners team. They're a 3-win team, 4-win team.
Yeah, so I don't know. Sage, I got one idea. I've been bringing this up to you, but I think we need to do a 49ers therapy session. We're both going to get...
Put on the calendar, bro. We're there.
We're both going to get on the stream. We're both going to have a bottle of wine each to ourselves.
Oh, dry January, baby.
No, come on. Are you actually doing dry January? I know
I am doing dry January.
No, you're not.
I swear I am. Okay.
I just don't believe you. I think you're going to crack before the 31st, but we should do something like that. Just talk about the Niners, what they've done to us, what they've done to our mental health. But like, eventually get to an ending point where we realize that we're okay. There's light at the end of the tunnel and that we still got a shot next year. So I think that'd be a good idea for some Niners content coming up. But all right, before we hop off here, Sage, Notre Dame, Georgia, who you got? You got the Dogs, you got the Irish.
I'm going with the Dogs. I'm going with Georgia. I just think it's a prime Notre Dame similar to Oregon where it's the big moment, big game. They have a chance. They're not going to show up. I think we get a similar performance to what my Ducks put out there yesterday. Give me Georgia. It's still -1?
I think it's -1, yeah.
Okay. I like Georgia.
I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome where I live with a Notre Dame fan and all I hear is like Notre Dame stuff. So it's like I'm getting propaganda, but I think I'm going Notre Dame, man. I'm going with the Fighting Irish. Georgia doesn't have their quarterback. And I saw the backup quarterback. Like, he was no good. This has been a weak Georgia team, in all honesty. Like, I don't think that this Georgia team's really impressed anybody the entire year.
I'm just banking on the defense. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I got Shane Gillis, my boy. I got the Fighting Irish. I got Remo Toki. I think it's gonna be a happy day for our boy Remo. They're gonna be playing Penn State, so I got the Irish. Sage has got the Dogs. But that's gonna be it for the stream today, guys. We'll probably catch you guys tomorrow. Talk to you guys later.